So it's raining.
This is editing me saying that the video is going to be on sexing chickens and the best things to look out for when you're doing it yourself.
The other day, I asked you guys if you would like for me to make a video on lots of different things. And the one that got the most requests was, of course. Anyways, I thought I would share my best tips for telling a rooster from a hen. I thought I would show you the characteristics of a rooster first. First thing I would like to start out with is saddle feathers. These are usually the first male feathers to come in. They are always in a rooster, unless it is a very specific breed. They always have a pointed edge. They have pointed saddle feathers, and they're right here. And in the female, they're called cushion feathers because they're not shiny, they're dull, they're not pointy, they're rounded, and pretty much that too. And then you have the hackle. These are usually pretty long feathers, just like the saddle feathers, and oftentimes they look exactly like the saddle feathers. Okay. Now, he's not the best example he doesn't have the best example of sickle feathers. He does have some weird feathers where they kind of narrow down before they come back out. But roosters have sickle feathers, and sickle feathers are two feathers that come out over the rest of their tail feathers. Most of their tail feathers are rounded except for the sickle feathers. As far as feathers, the main things to look out for in roosters are saddle feathers, hackle feathers, and sickle feathers. And now to the comb. This is lots of times something that people do the majority of their sexing on, and it can vary depending on breed. For instance, Leghorns, they're known for their very, very large, very red combs, and so sometimes people will think that they have a rooster, and in fact it's just a hen that has a very large and early developed comb. And like I said earlier, this guy does not have a single comb. Are you okay? But anyways, most of roosters you'll find either have rose combs or single combs. But with Easter eggers, their comb, if it has 3 rows, then it is a male, and if it has 1 row, then it is a female. Rows being like one large one in the middle, and then one out, and then 2 out to the sides. We have a female one up there, but I kind of wanted to show a little bit of the more popular ones. He does have kind of a funky comb. It looks a little bit more like a single comb from this angle, but you can go by combs. It's always good to look for the other characteristics if you're not sure. And on to the hens. So, I kind of already went over the differences in feathers, but I'll go over them again. Females have cushion feathers instead of saddle feathers because they're rounded and it kind of resembles like a cushion. And you'll find them in the same place as the saddle feathers, but they're not saddle feathers. Okay? Sometimes hens will have hackle feathers that are a little bit shinier or pointier, but the majority of the time they shouldn't and they don't. This girl has a couple. See, she doesn't have any sickle feathers. They're all rounded. It might be harder to see the red in them, but and you might only be able to see the blue part, but the actual feather itself is completely rounded, and all of her tail feathers are rounded. And generally the same length, because male sickle feathers are longer and more curved than the regular tail feathers. And now on to the combs. This girl has a single comb. She's a layer. Oh, alright. So, she has a really red face, which is kind of odd, but she has that lighter, fleshy, peachy colored comb instead of a bright red comb like the rooster does. But basically, those are the main differences. For males, you see pointed feathers, and for females, you see rounded feathers. The same goes for Polish. Oftentimes, people will post pictures of their Polish, and they'll have rounded feathers all over, except they'll have crazy afros on the top of their heads, and the crests on the top of their heads will be pointed, and it turns out they'll have a rooster because the crests on Polish are a lot like the saddle feathers and cushion feathers. So females will have rounded cushion-like feathers, and the males will have pointed saddle feathers on their crests. So I would say that about sums it up. Happy hatching! Bye.